right. Back in action. Wholesale Wednesday after a crazy week last week.
Last week. This week, too.
Yeah. Past couple weeks have been brutal. You know,
Yeah.
it's Q4. A lot of people don't realize, they think Q4 is like, at least for us and for a lot of businesses relying on fulfillment by Amazon, a busy time is not like December. It's October. It's all preparation.
Yeah. Well, especially this year with the lead times and just mass confusion. I think I was telling you, I've been hearing from a lot of people, like on the buyer side too, that are like, I'm getting the wrong thing, or like my stuff is coming late, or it says it's prime delivery tomorrow, like crazy.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, just with the lead times and everything. SPD shipments are actually checking in a lot faster than I thought. But LTL is
Just
yeah.
especially like it's just a processing with some facilities and carriers that have said that Amazon was so filled up that they were turning trucks away at certain facilities, and like on South Central, you see, not available.
At Amazon Freight gave a list of those FCs are common FCs that were crazy. I think anybody sending in inventory, if you haven't gotten in yet for Black Friday, you can next week, like if you're looking to get it in, you should absolutely be at Amazon.
Yeah, and the next week. And especially, again, for the block and stuff like that. You could play around and try to send things to fulfillment centers if you can. We've talked about optimized shipments for SPD getting checked in way faster, and then using 2D barcodes on top of that, or like whatever you can do to speed that process up. But if you're a month, like good luck.
Yeah, well, I think at this point in the game, it's either SPD or FTL. Amazon Freight specifically. So, we're all just now. It's like patiently waiting now for the sales really ramping up. Hopefully, in the next 2 to 3 weeks or so. But like a crap ton of money. It's when online retail in general makes a crap ton of money. A year for the last in a position to really capitalize on that's our entire business model is the entire year is preparation for
Yeah, I get it fine.
Yeah. All right, hang on.
Is it mine?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Hang on.
So I'll do that.
Alrighty.
If that's anybody, it might be me. I might move locations. I'm using my phone for a Wi-Fi thing right now. So
Yeah. All right. Well, if you guys still can't hear us,
yeah, let me know.
completely fine. But anyway, I was just saying that it's just.
I mean, it depends on what it is. Like if you're placing pre-books with suppliers, like really early on, obviously you got to prepare early on. But I mean, if you get to August, September, October, and you're like, how is XYZ doing it? Or you just see people sending in pallets, or you see all this inventory going to Amazon on Instagram or social media, Twitter, whatever it is, you're already prepared and like you're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So say, except last Wednesday, but we tried to go.
I went live from my my car about 10 minutes after I probably wasn't getting in my head. Probably answered a few questions wrong.
Yeah. But we try to go live every answers and sourcing. We do some sourcing in the Smart Scout tool. So we can touch on that here a bit today. Go if anybody's in here in the stream, just let us know for a while. But here in just a second.
We talk about while you're pulling that up, seasonal products versus like the business model based on things around Q, but there's also tons of products that you can find year round, and those you just have to make sure that you get an ample stock for the holiday time. It doesn't necessarily have to be timed to whatever week, right? It's just you have to have enough stock to make sure you get through the holidays. And if the demand stays pretty consistent, then the only thing you really have to account for is the extra lead times from Amazon and maybe extra lead times from your supplier. So not just Q4 products, but making sure you have enough of your everyday stock products in Amazon as well.
Right. Yeah, no, I was just checking the audio on Twitter. Like you're perfectly fine, at least on my end. So no, exactly. That's what it's all about. But I got my screen up here, and let's cover a couple of points on some winning brands. What is a qualification for that? How are we finding these profitable brands to work with? And then more importantly, anybody could reach out to the companies, anybody could source them, but not everybody can close the deals. So it's all about closing the deals. So when we come on these live streams, a lot of the times what we'll do is we will identify what a winning brand looks like, why it's a brand that is meeting our qualifications, and then we will outline some sort of an outreach strategy that we would use. Mm-hmm. How many times have we actually found brands that after we've gotten off these lives and we're like, hey, this is a good brand, and we go and contact them, so anybody thinking we're holding back information, it couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, this is literally how we source. It's how we do outreach and put together a strategy on how to contact brands.
Yeah. Well, this is the real process. It's like you said, it's not holding anything back. It's truly like how we are finding and contacting these brands and the criteria that we're going based on. So anyone can do this. It doesn't have to be us contacting, but then anyone can also do this sourcing method. Between storefront stalking and between this, it's been like the bread and butter of our business and how we've been able to grow it. And anyone can do this, and we're just showing you how and kind of our methodology and thought process behind it.
Yep. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go over to the brands tab on Smart Scout. And from here, we'll set our basic filter criteria, which, will target that small to medium-sized brand range. We're looking for at least 2 sellers on the listing. And small to medium sized brands, I would say, is somewhere in the range of anywhere from like 20,000 monthly revenue per month to $250,000 revenue per month. This is, in that smaller to mid-size range. If you're doing over $250,000 a month, you're starting to flirt with that larger brand territory. It's not to say, there's not big brands doing big numbers, upwards of 250, and have the intimate ownership where you can actually get a decision maker on the phone. But just understanding that the higher we go above 250,000, probably the less chance we'll have at actually talking to somebody who has some sort of decision making process at the company.
Exactly. That's I was going to add that. That's talk about small to mid size doesn't mean small to mid size revenue. Just means the intimacy of the relationship with the company, so that you're treating it as an intimate relationship in terms of brand direct as opposed to a distributor, and then you want them to have the same philosophy, which is that I will talk to you and I will get on the phone with you and I will figure out problems and solutions as far as the brand goes. That's what we consider a small to mid size. Not just the revenue.
Yeah. And if you guys have any questions as we're going through this, just drop them in the chat. We'll definitely.
Yeah, we've done a lot of Q&As in the last couple of weeks. We haven't really gotten too much into sourcing, which has been great because we've had a lot of questions. But it's good to get back into the brands here.
Yeah, so we're just scrolling right now and seeing if something catches the eye. Were you seeing anything?
Well, I was just going to say I was looking at categories. We get that question a lot, like what categories do you like, which ones don't you like? And obviously we both have a little bit different opinions on some things, but pretty much the same in the sense of like we like grocery, we like consumables just in general. We don't really like clothing because of the returns. We don't do books. We like health and household. We like home and kitchen. We higher ticket electronics. Different things like that. We just get that a lot. People ask about it, and it's all got to do with like not any sort of favoritism towards one thing or another, category. It's more so the fact of there's a reason why we like it. Grocery, there's no returns. Electronics is low fees, etc. So,
right.
What's that?
Which
Jade yoga mat down the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, so the reason why I clicked on this was because I was looking here. Where was it? It was this one. This seemed like a little bit of a niche category, but more importantly, this average selling price was $610. Yeah. And you know how much I love the high ASPs, as do you. Yeah. And, I think that I was thinking about this the other day, and I think that a lot of wholesalers might have it wrong. I'm not trying to be controversial, but because we triple our SKU count during Q4, so we're seeing it firsthand. More SKUs means more management in every element of the business, from an inventory management standpoint, from a repricing standpoint, from a labor standpoint, from every single element of business. More SKUs means more work for the business.
Yeah.
The best way, in my opinion, to grow your business in wholesale, at least, is to just increase the average selling price that you're selling your units for, as opposed to, carrying thousands of SKUs. I'd rather carry, 200 SKUs at double the selling price. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's like I always say, you pay bills in dollars, not margin, so it's like if you can just increase the total dollar amount and make the same margin, then, that's a great thing, because then you're requiring, like you said, less labor, less, technically, I guess, less accounts as well.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of wholesale is focused on, carrying tons and tons of SKUs. But, there's just more margin for error, I think, when you're carrying tons and tons of SKUs. That, like I said, there's more management involved with it. I think that there's a time and a place for increasing your SKU count. I think it is a good way to scale a business, but you just don't want to you just want to make sure that you have the other, or the back end to that, because if you don't have the back end to the other components, the inventory management side, the labor side, then, tripling your SKU count, it's just going to get out of control really fast.
Yeah,
If you don't have the systems in before, you start really increasing your SKU count, it's going to get out of control.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and you can also, I always like to look at it like, we always say, on an ASIN by ASIN basis. Like, and that includes everything. That is your prep time, that is your labor, that is your, like, every single thing that gets you into the cost to send that off to Amazon and sell it. Breaking things down ASIN by ASIN and saying, hey, this SKU, maybe we're just selling this just to sell it. Like, if you don't know the numbers on an ASIN by ASIN level, I think that you're really just kind of shooting in the dark.
Yeah. All right.
While you're looking in here, I'm just going to answer kind of comment question. It says, just got here from the Marshalls video, which, if you guys haven't seen that, that was a really, really good video. Brad and I went back to Marshalls, and we did some RA and just kind of showed like the transition between RA and wholesale. I think it's something we're going to do again because it was actually a lot of fun, and we probably finished it in 20 minutes, which was probably the shortest YouTube video we ever you ever recorded. It was quick and easy because there's a lot of money in it. It's very profitable, and like you can do that stuff, and that's how we started. So it was nice to go back to the roots there. But someone said, got really interested in you guys. Can you replicate it for the UK market? I mean, the answer to that is yes. I mean, you can do this in pretty much any market that you're in, as long as you have the, RA. I mean, you can do that anywhere, but wholesale brand direct, as long as you have the skill set, the persistence, the determination to do this, I mean, you can do it from anywhere, really.
Yeah.
Also talking about, the same person on said, I've always used eBay to resell, and Amazon's fees always scared me away. So do you have any comments on that? I have a few for sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say I sold on eBay forever. Like, I mean, you sold a little bit on eBay, right? Wasn't a ton.
I mean, it was like graphics cards during COVID when they were selling for like $700.
Yeah, no. So I mean, for anyone that's listening that doesn't know, I had a full-time RA sneaker business, and then I also had full-time like used pre-owned clothing, and both of those were on eBay. We were listing, got 50, 75 units a day on eBay for clothes, just tons and tons of stuff. And so there was a transitional period from eBay to Amazon, and then there was a transition period from RA to wholesale on Amazon, and it was very different. And one of the things that I was most surprised by was the velocity of the sales on Amazon is incomparable to any other platform I've seen. And I've sold on, unfortunately, kind of everything: Mercari, Poshmark, eBay, Goat, StockX, literally, like, I sold on everything, and it's not even close. And so, yeah, you have a lot of fees, but it's all relative to the sales. It's like taxes. If you're tax budgeting, but if you are paying a lot of taxes, it probably means you're making a lot of money. And so I think that the bigger question you should be asking, and you can do your own research on this, how much more traffic is Amazon going to drive to you than eBay? Because it's astronomically larger.
Yeah, it's way easier and more scalable to grow a massive Amazon FBA business than it is a massive eBay business.
Yeah, eBay's tough. You're paying all those fees because you're leveraging all the networks that Amazon has.
Yeah. 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 Now for the guy that asked the question, like jump into Amazon for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way to go. There's no greater opportunity for any commerce, in my opinion. So I'll go ahead and dive back on my screen share. I think there's another question here if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, it just says Amazon losing our units, submitted invoice, but won't reimburse me. I obviously it's kind of a case by case, like what happened with it. If you have like a counted and confirmed situation, then you really gotta get on Amazon about that. But if it's just a regular, units closed and they received less than you sent in, the structure that we always use, it's super simple. It's like submit the invoice for the total amount of units in the last, whatever, is it 365 days, or is it for that, or is it just how many units you sent in? I think it's no for IP complaints. I'm sorry, for IP complaints, it's 365 days. For the invoice, it's how many you sent in, and then we say X amount of ASIN sent in, X amount received under it, and then the third thing under that would be like no prep activity missed. Send in the invoice, and then they should reimburse you. If they're not reimbursing you, then it's probably something to do with your invoice, which you got to make sure that's all aligned with what they want. Usually those cases aren't too hard to beat.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing them, you're losing a ton of money.
Yeah. It's all a percentage of what your total business is doing, you know. So as your business grows, it's just going to be a small percentage that Amazon loses of your inventory.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, we were talking about this week, one small tweak in shipping for us would have been $10,000 in savings. It's like, you know, as you scale, everything with wholesale is scalability. So the better and the more profitably you can scale, small decisions add up when you're moving a lot of volume.
Yeah. And that's what the nature of the business model is. It's a high volume business. You know, it's not the highest margin of a business out there. And, you know, anybody getting into that Amazon FBA wholesale should know that. You know, by nature, it's not designed as a high margin business. It's designed as a massively scalable business that you can do in volume, and the volume makes up for the lower margins.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, you know, we're looking to preserve every percentage point of margin that we can, like you said. So it's the small incremental decisions that add up over time. Different from private label. You know, obviously all business models you're looking to preserve profit margin, but with private label, you know, you can probably expect upwards of 20% margins at least.
Right.
You know, wholesale is more like in that 10 to 15% range.
Yeah, exactly. So how are we looking on some of those products? I mean, there's that one that I had said that Yoko Ono is that.
Yeah, so I mean, I was pulling up a couple of them, and I was just looking for like high ASPs, and then I clicked on this high average selling prices, and now I got a $3 product here. I don't know how that
Amazon's
happened.
on it. Yeah, it looks good.
Get rid of that.
Someone call
Yeah,
them.
so I was just going like in the spirit of what we were talking about, which was the high ASPs, just seeing if I could find something. But again, you know, we're taking an initial glance. We're seeing that Amazon's all over the place, so we're going to get rid of that. You know, again, same deal here. Take a glance. Okay, well, these products sell for a lot of money. Geez, $1,000.
What is this?
It's a
watch. Dive. Oh, it's a dive computer.
Diving, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Interesting. A lot of sellers on the listing. Jeez.
And so as we're doing this, I mean, we're kind of talking through to each other, but like this is also internally what we're, you know, thinking. I mean, Brad and I don't call each other every brand we find. Actually, we kind of do. But, you know, we don't call each other for every brand we find and talk each other through this stuff. But internally, it's always like a discussion like, okay, a lot of sellers, this is how the listing looks, high average sell price. Like these are all things that we take into account to either have as ammunition when we call the brand or to make a decision on whether we want to contact the brand or not, or if we want to skip the product.
Yeah, and I just want to point something out here, just again to illustrate the power of high average selling prices. So I'm going to jump back here for a second. And the naysayers and the people who always have something to say will be like, well, what about the returns, right? But
yeah,
all of our manufacturers that we work with, and we carry some high ASP products.
The high ASP ones, yeah.
Yeah, replace the return in a one-to-one fashion.
Yeah, or you pay for the repair and it's, you know, you brought break even at that. Like you're never losing money.
No, it's a lot of these manufacturers, it'll be a one-to-one where you get a return back from the customer and you can't sell it again on Amazon or you can't retail it. So you say to the manufacturer, I have 2 units, right, that the customer, you know, just especially on a technical product like this, and right. I can, you know, and 9 times out of 10 in our experience, you get the units, they'll ship them back and they'll replace them in a one-to-one so that you're not losing money on them.
Yep, exactly.
So
Answer to the question in here as well. All the data on Amazon, is that an extension or seller central? That it's that's Keepa, the extension. But if you want to actually shoot us a message on either Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, whatever it is, or drop a comment or something, we can send you a list of all the extensions that we use pretty much. So feel free to reach out with that.
yeah, and just to illustrate this, I mean, oh my God, like this, if you got this account, like if you
Yeah.
closed this as an exclusive,
You're getting a little too excited over there.
you would you potentially be making $1 million a year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And we always say, like, it just takes one.
And they don't have the best of listings.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, they have the same picture 400 times, it looks like.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is a good example of a brand that we would contact. I mean, there's a ton of sellers on the listing. It tells you they have a distribution problem.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody in their right mind wants 30 sellers selling their product on Amazon, and especially a product like this, the price has just totally been eroded.
Yep.
So you're going from $550 fairly consistently to just a complete erosion of price down to $519, $515. And let's see, I mean, it's the same sort of situation going on here. Price is a little bit better here, but again, just a lot of sellers selling the product line. Listings are not well optimized at all. And maybe we should talk through some of these things that we're saying, like what is an optimized listing? What does that mean?
Yeah, optimized listing has 4 different components to it. And the reason that we want to optimize a listing is because we want to draw traffic. This is the internet and e-commerce, so we want to be able to draw traffic to the listing. And then we also want to be able to get the person who's looking at the listing to convert faster to a purchase. Now, this might be a little bit slower of a purchase because of the high ticket item. People might take a little more time to process and purchase something like this. But again, 4 components. We have the A+ content or enhanced brand content, which is down at the bottom where the description is. It says about this item or about this product. You can scroll down to that and take a look at it. Product description right there. And there's multiple types of A+ or enhanced brand content as well. You can get really detailed with it. And what that does, it conveys a lot of things about the brand story, all that stuff. Second component is the images and the videos, which is just at the top of the page, and pretty self-explanatory, but we want to get the customer to convert by providing them as much information here as possible. And so that's a point for someone contacting this brand to say there is none of that. There is no infographics. There's nothing explaining why someone should buy your product. The third one is the title and the bullet points, which just have to do with search engine and like keywords. And if there's nothing in the text area of the product, nobody's going to be able to find it. And then the fourth one is just a brand store, which for this product there's a lack of, and we can tell that because at the top it says brand and it says Shearwater Research, as opposed to if it had a brand store, it would say visit the Shearwater Research store, and then that would take them to the store with all the other products. If you click on that, once you do that, chances are it's going to take us to, yes, their product, but it's also going to take us to maybe some other products. Looks like they have a pretty good control on it. So this is a very specific product name. So it looks like it's mostly their products coming up. But if it was a more generic brand name, because what Amazon does by default is it just searches the name in the search bar if there's no brand store. And so if it's a more generic name, a lot of different things will come up. But it's still a good point to bring to this brand to say, hey, like, your products can be well organized and they can be better shopped by consumers and stuff. So those are kind of the 4 components and why you should use them and how you should pitch them to brands.
Yeah.
I think I did that all in one breath.
Yeah. Great information for anybody, looking to contact brands and provide value, because that's what brand direct wholesale is. It's, if you're doing Amazon wholesale, you're either contacting distributors, which are entities that buy from the brand and have existing relationships with the manufacturer and then sell to other businesses like you. or you're buying directly from brands, which is the bulk of our business. We work with distributors as well, but the focus of our business is brand direct. But the primary difference between brand direct and with distributors is that if you are reaching out directly to the brand, you have to come with some sort of strategic value add to their business. That's because the brand has a vested interest in the success of how their brand is represented on Amazon. So they don't just want anybody selling their brand on Amazon. They want, they want to work with somebody who knows what they're doing, and that could potentially be you. And that's how we look to grow our business and provide value and strategy to brands. With distributors, a lot of distributors will just work with you no matter what if you're willing to bring the money. But even so, distributors can be selective based on the brand's policy. It's really not one or the other, though. It's both. It's accumulating, especially in the beginning, as many products into your inventory as possible. Of course, doing so in a safe manner, meaning avoiding products that, or brands that may potentially issue you IP claims or not allow you to sell their products on Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We've been getting a lot of, I don't know, I guess people just don't understand, like, comments and things about IP complaints lately. And with brand direct wholesale, it's like it's not 100% safe because nothing's 100% safe, but it's pretty close. Other than private label, like we're talking, and I'm kind of circling back here too. We talked about the fees on the platform and all those types of things. And at the end of the day, you're really playing by Amazon's rules, and so that's what a lot of people neglect. And I mean, we talk about all the time. I cannot believe the amount of Section 3 deactivations and account deactivations. Like, it is mind blowing to me, and it's just considered like normal, and it's not. And so by doing a method of business and running your business through something like brand direct wholesale, we might not be able to sleep at night because of the amount of product we're buying, but we're able to sleep at night because of our account health, right? And like, I'll take it. I'll take that. Because it's really like, it's like your body, you only get one of them for the most part with Amazon, right? So your account, you only get one of them really. So you want to treat it well and do your job so you can sell on the platform for a long time and sustainably make a lot of money, as opposed to make a little bit of money or even a lot of money in a short period amount of time and then never make anything ever again.
Yeah. And I think that concept of, making a lot of money in a short amount of time, or just making a lot of money as quickly as you can, is a very dangerous mindset to go into a business with.
Yeah.
Especially something like this. I mean, we see sellers all the time that are in, that are out. They're in business, they're out of business, whether it's a shutdown, whether it's because of, the Section 3, whether it's just because they don't know what they're buying and they get stuck with inventory and they don't know how to, they don't have proper buying practices, and the sellers, they just go out of business, So if you're new, the best thing to do is slowly, ease into it, mitigate risk by placing test orders, watch, other successful Amazon sellers, watch what they're doing, learn, come on lives like this, and just learn from other people is really the best way to do it.
And growing organically at the beginning.
Yeah. And having the mindset from the beginning that you're in this for the long term. I mean, that one from day one was my mindset, from the moment I, searched up how to make money online was I know I'm doing this for the long term.
Yeah.
No, I don't need to make money next week or next month or next year,
Yeah, it's kind of the same mindset. I see, generally speaking, two different sides to people who start selling on Amazon. One is that they just don't really know what they're doing, or they're not dedicated, or they're just, they kind of piddle paddle around, and then they're gone in a couple months because it's too much work or whatever it is. And then the other one, obviously we have the person who's successful and sustainable, like you're saying. But then the other one is that they go in thinking that they know everything, and they try to move too fast and not play by the rules. And it made me think of when my father sold his business. He sold it to someone who was a doctor. And the guy had no experience in doing the type of business that my dad was doing. He was a doctor. And he bought the business because he just thought he knew what he was doing in general. Right. And he thought that translated over. So even if you're doing something else and you have a successful, whatever it is, like Amazon's a very specific thing. And like, we've learned that. I mean, just to be transparent with like our content, like we've had to take a step back and organically learn how to, put out more valuable content for people. And so if you're just starting on Amazon, like that's another thing. Don't think you know everything because, I always say don't make rookie mistakes with veteran money. And that's what I get a lot of people when they start. Either they just are not interested or they want to put in way too money and inject it way too fast. And that kind of goes back to what you were talking about your capital and your cash flow cycles. Just learn organically, learn slow,
Yeah, I thought you were going to say about the business that we bought that flopped. We bought we bought a brand like I don't know, it was maybe like a year and a half ago, and
I think it was longer than that.
It was a brand we already had a relationship with, and he was like closing the doors, and I was just like, well, what are you doing? The product's selling on Amazon. So I'm like, we start talking back and forth, and he was a very reasonable guy, and ended up putting in an offer and ended up closing the deal. And then something happened, with like the listings on Amazon, and then it was like one thing led to the next, and we didn't have the bandwidth or the manpower to be having, this other business that we thought was going to be well integrated with our Amazon business. And then it was just a wash, so we took a bath on that one, but is what it is. You live and learn, and it just goes to show, like, stay in your lane,
Yeah. I always joke around. I say that I'm like, I think I said it to somebody yesterday. I was like, I know what I know, and I know it really well, and I don't know anything else.
Yeah.
I feel you're kind of like that too, where it's just like things you focus on, and when we start to let the mind wander and do other things, if we try and do them too quick, just like if you're starting to sell on Amazon and you try and do it too quick, or you don't want to learn, from other people or do it the safe way, then you could get yourself into trouble. So word of advice, cautionary tale.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we go live every single Wednesday, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Check it out, tune in, ask some questions, learn some information. I'm going to go contact the Shearwater brand because that was a winning brand. I mean, that's a winner right there.
Somebody else jump on it first.
Yeah.
Try and beat us to it.
Pressure's on. But that's what I mean, is we find real brands that we would contact. What did that take me? 15 seconds to find that brand at Smart Scout. It's not, when you do it thousands of times over and over again, and that's only going to come with experience, you start to get a knack for it. You start to get a feel and an intuitive sense on what is a winning brand and what is not. And you just put pieces together, like things like a non-optimized listing, high selling price, sales volume, those sorts of things that just paint a picture. And then you develop an outreach strategy. But it's not black and white. Everybody sort of has their own spin on how they do Amazon wholesale. And I think that's the beauty of it, that it can be, the cat can be skinned in multiple different ways. And, we're seeing that all the time. There's tons of businesses out there that are running, massive Amazon businesses doing a completely different business model than us,
I was thinking, I started laughing because what's the origin of that saying? Let's end on that note. Let me look it up and then
I don't know what the origin is, but I thought you were laughing at that I said the cat can be skinned in multiple different ways.
Oh, well, yeah, you said it wrong too. All right, so we'll end on this note. That saying came from a book in 1854 that said, by Seba Smith, whoever that is, that says, "This is a money-digging world of ours, and as it is said, there are more than one ways to skin a cat, so there are more than one ways of digging for money." It's a good saying. That still doesn't explain where the thing came from about the cat, but who's skinning cats out here?
There you go. Well, we're about to sign off. Let's answer this one last question that rolled in here. Do you guys think wholesale can be feasible for a beginner, or before doing wholesale is advisable to do OA?
I'll let you take it.
All right. So wholesale is, you could absolutely jump into wholesale right off the bat. There's no doubt about it. I think from a risk mitigation standpoint, from a capital or lack thereof standpoint, from a Amazon logistics standpoint, online arbitrage or retail arbitrage are great business models to start. So if you know nothing about how to ship products into Amazon, if you have limited capital, and we're talking less than like $2,000 to $3,000, start in an arbitrage. At least do it for 6 months or something like that. Do it for 3 to 6 months. Learn the ropes of Amazon. Ship some inventory into Amazon, and start to get a feel for the business. And then, consuming the content as you're doing that in regards to wholesale, so that you can, elevate into wholesale. Because any OA or RA seller will tell you, the long term, many will tell you that the long term goal should be, a model like wholesale or private label, because that's where the sustainability is. I'm not saying you can't run a successful arbitrage business, but it's just where the sustainability and scalability is wholesale and PL. So if you got about $3,000 to $5,000, and you have somewhat of an understanding of Amazon logistics, I would say you're good to jump right into wholesale. But those would be the 3 reasons that I have for possibly considering arbitrage before wholesale.
Yeah, one of the things I'm going to add to that is that arbitrage gives you a sense of instant gratification, I think, more than wholesale does. Wholesale is it's not fun at the beginning. Like, it's really not. You're just putting in all this effort, and you're not quite sure if things are going to work, and you have to get proof of concept and reach out and be persistent. With RA, especially if you're new to Amazon, I think you have a higher chance of continuing to sell on Amazon, or wanting to continue to sell on Amazon, if you start an OA or RA, because you're going to get that, dopamine hit of sales coming in a lot faster than you're going to get for wholesale. So kind of like a little bit of a weird take on it, but I think that that's another reason why you should probably start in RA or OA as well.
Yeah. And, learn from us, learn from other people out there. We go live every single Wednesday, 7:00 Eastern. Find winning brands. I got to go contact the brand we just found, or at least
contact them right now.
At least put them on the list.
8:00 at night. Give them a call.
It's still 4:45 Pacific time, so
crazy.
We're good. Is it?
I'll let you do that one.
All right. Thanks for joining, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit the like button. Helps out the videos a lot, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. See you.